that is Hayley, and we are Storybrewers. We design and publish our own tabletop role-playing games. I think we've started. It's our 6th year now of publishing, so we're well along on that journey. The thing that I think our game centers around, or the things that drive us as game designers, is making games that are all about feels, like feelings first, character exploration. I think a lot of our games are really about like the emotional play, and like that telling these stories will evoke real emotions in your group. So that's kind of us and what we do.
We've been publishing games, like we said, for about 6 years. And, when we create games, we try to center them around the principles we have of being emotional, collaborative, and evocative in our game design. But we also try to cover a diverse format of games and themes because it's more fun to do different things. We're probably well known the most for Good Society, which is a Jane Austen role-playing game. And it's sort of a book and card situation. And we also have a bunch of expansions that we made for it. But more recently, we also have Fight with Spirit, which is a sports drama RPG that just won PAX Indie Showcase. Yay. Yeah, that game sort of blends up a bit between role-playing and some board game elements too. Well, it's very much still a game focused on fields. And then we also have a series of little box games, which are like no prep, easy to learn and play games that kind of you can play in a single evening and, are great for people who are just getting into role-playing or who role-play a lot but just want to play a game in a short period of time.
Castles in the Air has just finished crowdfunding a couple months ago now, and we're like deep in production for that at the moment, but that's going to be hopefully released sometime early next year.
The best way to learn about and grow in designing, publishing, selling games is to design, publish, and sell games. And ideally you want to start with something small that you can kind of take through the whole process as a learning experience, make it, test it, release it, sell it, and sort of get a taste and learn about every aspect of that. And then repeat again, maybe with something a little bit more ambitious, and repeat again with something more ambitious. And you can listen to a million people's advice, but you will definitely not, including mine right now. But you don't, it doesn't click. You don't really get it until you're out there doing it. So that's, yeah.
I think I really believe in that iterative process as a way of like understanding and learning your own creative process. The other thing I usually add is like the other really important thing in that, okay, just do it, is like keeping the motivation up to do it, right? So like there isn't any one way to say inspired and motivated, but I think that there are like patterns. A couple of, like last year we did this talk for Big Bad Con that was like 50 game designers and what their inspiration is and how that took them from the first spark of inspiration to a finished complete game. And one of the things that we learned doing that talk is the different drivers that people have, but like some commonalities in those drivers. For example, like making your passion into an obsession and using that obsession to get through to the finished product, having people that you're accountable to or that you can bring into the process to give you energy, having the passion and clarity to know that you're trying to bring something specific into the world, whether that's like a personal story or a really cool mechanic you want to use, and like just like that thing of having a project that's doable. Like these are like the main things that we heard people saying help them to get to the end of the like finished game. So if you're interested, that talk is available for free online on YouTube somewhere. I think there will be links in the show notes to it. But that's a really interesting one.
Yeah, to see people's different perspectives, and the things that we found in common and different. One other thing that I would also say, and I think this is pretty common advice that probably anyone would say, really, is like you got to get out of your bubble and out into the wider community. It doesn't have to be the role-playing community specifically, but it's really important if you are planning to make a game that you do want people to play. And I understand that not every game is made for that. So this is really, it just applies to that. It's really great to play your game with a lot of different people, including people whose perspective, you might not naturally understand, and also play a lot of different games with people whose perspectives you might not naturally understand. And I don't think that there's anything that has improved my process in designing games quite as much as that.
In terms of our journey as publishers, I think that's a relatively new one. We're still really baby in that department, so we're still learning a lot. That's definitely the space that we're still like doing all that experimentation, right? Like I think we're following our own advice in that we are publishing something small, doable, that we felt like we understood the format, and then we moved that up to a bigger. So the first one was Decaying Orbit, that was part of our little box. That was designed by Sydney Icarus. So we talked to Sid. We're very upfront about like this being our first publishing thing, and we worked together to sort of build a process for that. And then now we're doing a bigger book and cards kind of situation, a full Kickstarter for it and crowdfunding and that whole thing. So it's definitely one of those things that we are also learning about by doing it, iterating a bit at a time. So knowing how to, there's so much in publishing, like contracts, communication, being in remote, because at least we are always like working from the same space.
Yeah, I think in a lot of ways, publishing other people's games is a lot harder than publishing your own game, because you need, and I guess that was probably the most surprising thing for me. I was like, oh, I don't have to design the game. Surely that's going to make it easier. But no, it in a lot of ways it's harder because you need to really be able to like understand the driving forces behind their game and understand what those mean for the people playing it. But you don't have that experience that you have, that I was exactly just talking about, where like, Saltfish and Almanacs, 80 play tests, like played that with like over 100 different people. Like, you don't have that. So you have to do the harder part of the process without standing on the legs of the first half of the process. So I think that was the thing that surprised me, just getting your head around that and adjusting to that is probably, the most challenging thing.
We are going to be at PAX as part of the Indie Showcase this October in Melbourne, which is very, very exciting. So we are going to be demoing Fight with Spirit as part of that, and that's like always, it's such a big convention, in lots of people come through. So that's really fun. I'm really looking forward to that. You hear so much about when you're showing your game in that kind of capacity, and you're getting both gamers, but also like a more mainstream video gaming maybe audience. That's exactly what we're saying, that there's a different opinion. They're coming from a different place and they're interacting with you in your game. So that's awesome for us as creators to be able to gain that insight into our own game and how it's being perceived. So it's like closing out that loop of like, we've done the work of playtesting, we know it works as a game, we know it's a good game, but like how to connect that with like, I guess, selling, marketing, and then how to use those things to build back into the design. How do we anticipate the problems of people that we might not intuitively think about, and then use that as a knowledge in our game design later.
And on the complete flip side of that coming up is like, I love meeting people there too, that we might be connected in some way and not have met in person before. So if you're watching this, come say hi to us at PAX if you're there. Because that's honestly one of the biggest joys of it.
Yeah, just meeting other creators and developers that's awesome. Yeah. And the other thing that's happening for us is Castles in the Air is in production. So it's available on pre-order on our website right now. It's going to be a really beautiful book. There's a lot of cool aesthetics that design work that we put into that I'm really, really proud of. And it's an excellent game. It's really well designed. So I'm really looking forward to like making that a really physical thing, because that's like such a cool part of the process of making something where you physically have it. So storybrewersroleplaying.com is our website. We have a link tree that has all of our different links to our games and different socials that we have. The one thing that I would super recommend if you are interested in keeping up with us is to join the newsletter. We have like a bi-monthly, like once every 2 month newsletter. And that's really like the best way to keep up with what we're doing. I do a lot of graphic design on the side, so I do have a portfolio called Vee and Hayley Designs. If you are looking for a graphic designer, you can go check out my portfolio there.
I'm found in all the same places Vee is, except that I don't have my own portfolio.